a podcast by Vision Point Marketing.
Yeah, so essentially, we're going to talk about the relationship between SEO and information architecture. Really, the idea that to have a strong kind of website and organic strategy, you need them to pair well with each other to, get a site that's both findable, but then also a site that's navigable for the user journey.
Gotcha. What is information architecture?
Yeah, so kind of my basic way of describing it is it's a mixture of both, kind of the tree structure, i.e., the navigation structure for the website, and then wireframes. And so, like wireframes to me is very intentional what your page level layout strategy is, and usually by being able to pair those two things, you make it really easy to both get through the website, but then on key pages on the website, sometimes what I call clincher pages, be very intentional about what exactly that ask is for each individual page and how you best kind of tee people up to make it easier to make that engagement or interaction happen.
Gotcha. And so you're saying there is an interconnection between SEO and information architecture. Because I got to be honest with you, I think when a lot of people hear SEO, they think, oh, keywords, right? This is all about keywords. And then maybe they start thinking, oh, this is all about content. And the connection between my keywords and my content and making sure my H2 tags match up with my key secondary keywords and all that. You're saying there's more to it than that.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think when it comes to SEO, there are very unique lenses to it. So there is, and there's different ways you can phrase these two things, but typically the two pieces that are really important about SEO is both technical SEO. So again, these are kind of server and site level optimization pieces, and then content. And the relationship between them is that if you kind of, neglect one, it typically will draw down the other. So you really have to have a strong technical plan to be able to have your, content perform well and get in front of others. Because I think especially as Google's been evolving, the site experience, site speed, et cetera, are such an important part, frankly, of getting visible in Google. So if you've kind of let down the technical layer to it, frankly, Google won't put you up there in those top spots because if it takes 15 seconds for your site to load, that's a less than ideal experience for a user.
Gotcha. When you start talking about these technical pieces, it sounds kind of hard. This sounds kind of complicated, like it would require a complete website reboot or something. Is that correct? Or
I wouldn't necessarily say so, but I think it requires a lot of people coming to the table. So this is not purely a like marketer copywriter exercise. It also requires, typically the involvement of, developers or IT folks who are going to really think about the infrastructure of your website and having it be really optimal to be able to support those activities.
gotcha. You have talked in the past about the importance of program pages when it comes to really optimizing a website for enrollment performance. Talk to me a little bit about that. How does that play into this SEO information architecture mix?
Yeah, so this is something that I kind of repeat this phrase on the regular, but I always say that academic program pages are dollar for dollar the most important pages on your website. I think when people go to re-architect and re-envision a site, we put a lot of thought and effort onto home pages and top level pages and admission section, et cetera. But when it comes down to it, academic programs are the product of a university. It's really what we're selling. It's not the experiential opportunities. It's not the new rec center that we have. Ultimately, the academic program that your school offers is the main thing that you were trying to sell to a student. when it comes to kind of the hierarchy of needs of a prospective student, typically, do you have the offering that I want is the most important part of that. And so I always talk about kind of the foundational layer of especially content SEO to be based on academic program pages and being to optimize those. And it's optimize them on a bunch of levels. So, there is the technical layer, which I'm going to just not go into that because it's not as related. But I think being able to build an academic program page that answers kind of those key questions of prospective students in relation to the possible academic opportunity that they want, being able to understand, frankly, why they would want to do that opportunity at your school, what features and benefits does your program have that the school down the street doesn't have, be it facilities, clubs, world-class, faculty that they might be able to work with. What are the typical career outcomes? Do you have co-ops, internships, et cetera, that are really unique that you've cultivated those relationships with maybe some key companies for your programs? And so I always kind of talk about how to just start there. And so, it could be something as simple as you're picking the 10 programs that you need to prioritize, or it's trying to build out, a robust catalog of academic program pages. But again, above and beyond, frankly, the SEO optimizations, it's also about having strong marketing copywriting that's going to compel someone to say, oh, this is that right fit. I need to do this at your school, not this other school. Sometimes I think about, let's just say, a biology program in Boston or an MBA in Boston. Think about what a crowded space that is. So, number one, we want to get it visible to people. So if I, live somewhere in Boston, or I'm going to go to school in Boston, I want to get as the school, I want my academic opportunity, the bachelor's of biology, to be really visible in that crowded space that is Boston SEO wise, and that folks can frankly see that. And that, kind of back to our typical win, wow, woo. SEO is the place where you draw people in. It brings in net new eyeballs to your site through Google that might have otherwise not found you. So that's where, the SEO optimization comes. But then again, once you get on the site, it's that ability to optimize that on-page experience. And that's where both it's compelling copywriting, because once you've got them to the site, frankly, the SEO layer is not as relevant. It's then the page experience layer. It's the IA that you've been very intentional about. So like typically academic program pages bubble up in the site. Some schools have this mentality of they let the colleges handle it, they let the departments handle it. But and I'm saying this in a university context, but the basic idea is that program pages should be in the very top layers of your site's IA, that they're very optimized, present, frankly, a pretty uniform experience so that if people are cross-shopping, meaning looking at a biology, a chemistry, a psychology degree, that they'll have a relatively uniform experience and be able to understand all those different offerings that your institution has.
That's fascinating. It's interesting too, because so many people tend to think of SEO as homepage, blog posts, sort of those specific content areas, not those core content areas of a site like your program pages. And also that whole thought of, okay, so SEO is getting them there. It's getting them through the front door, but do they know how to navigate their way to where they want to go once they're on the site? So
absolutely. Yeah, I think that's super important, because again, if you've drawn them in via SEO, but then you provide them a horrible page experience, chances are that they're not going to persist. And also, even if you can get them, engaged maybe on that one page, obviously the whole idea of organic lead generation is you bring them in via a SEO optimized page, then you get them to, in most cases, raise their hand and fill out some kind of an RFI, request for info, and then become someone who you can nurture throughout their user journey. But you really need this content to be influential and then, really intentionally lined up so that those right place, right time calls to actions are able to happen and influence their decision.
Well, that's great. So when we're talking to higher ed marketers, enrollment professionals, and so forth, where do you start? What do you recommend is the best place to jump in on this?
So I think when it comes to, being able to tie together that experience, it's about being able to have the right people in the right room. So I think, it starts as kind of a relationship between technologists, developers, and marketers. And I think it's also being able to tie together those experiences and think about kind of the hierarchy of needs. Once we've got them onto the site, what do they need to be able to understand and accomplish? And in a very lay way, I think about the hierarchy of needs of prospects as being able to understand that one, it's the right academic opportunity or offering for that student, being able to understand that financially it's something I can afford, being able to understand that that institution is the right fit. So I have people that are like me, I have people with the interests that I have, and then being able to understand essentially what is the process, what are the mechanics to go about engaging and becoming a student at that organization. I think being able to, again, get people to the site, then quickly navigate through that experience and raise your hand and get engaged. And then again, typically that's where other channels, other workflows come in as far as nurturing. But I think so much about, organic lead generation is just really that ability to get net new eyeballs to your site for your institution, for those, opportunities that you have, and then being able to get them through the site. That again, we essentially want to reduce friction, get people to the places that they want to go, make it easy for them to raise their hand and engage with us. And I think just all that in one tight box is really that relationship between SEO and IA, and frankly, a successful experience throughout your website.
Wonderful. Couldn't have said it better myself, but really appreciate the conversation. This has been great.